Emotional manipulation does not involve direct physical effect on the brain, but rather the use of methods that naturally evoke certain emotions, which makes people do certain actions that directly or indirectly benefit the elite. Most often, such manipulations are carried out when there is a desire to divert people's attention from certain events that are beneficial to the elite but harmful to ordinary members of society. In this case, representatives of the elite use various entertainment activities. For example, create movies full of strong impressions, organize various events that bring together large groups of people, such as concerts, games, and etc., with the main intention to evoke the strongest possible emotions and occupy as much of people's free time as possible. Various smartphone or computer applications and even some websites may also have certain pre-installed hidden software add-ins that collect information about users, personal data or their likes and interests based on what data is disclosed by themselves when using those applications and websites, and, based on this, select personalized advertisements, offering each user a specific product or service that may seem most necessary or desirable to them at that moment. Also, some add-ons could be designed to monitor users' emotions directly or indirectly, possibly by scanning facial expressions, via a smartphone or computer camera, or even listen to conversations possibly via phone or computer speakers, while they are browsing the internet, and based on how they react to the information they encounter in cyberspace, photos, videos, text records, etc. Specific advertisements and offers could be selected that would generate the most interest or the strongest emotions for a particular user when using the advertised product or service after purchase. Using these methods, it would be possible to evoke the strongest emotions in each individual and attract the maximum of their attention, thereby minimizing the likelihood that they would find out or do something that is inconvenient for the elite. Therefore, a person must try not to give in to such emotional provocations, and instead of rushing to buy the advertised goods or services, seriously consider, based solely on logic, without emotional interference, whether they are really necessary at that moment, whether they will bring real benefits, and whether they will help him achieve important goals in his life. This leaves people with less free time to analyze their environment. The stronger emotions are, the more attention is diverted from the surrounding environment, which further reduces the likelihood of being able to comprehend events occurring in that environment and their causes in time. And to prevent those events from achieving their goals, another method could be to hire professional computer programmers and ask them to hack into the computers of certain individuals who are suspected of posing a threat to the elite and extract important information about those individuals from which it would be possible to deduce what activities they are planning to carry out. Then, using this information and tracking down these individuals based on the location of their computers, it would be possible to artificially create unfavorable conditions for carrying out their activities in their environment. Hypnosis experts may also be hired for similar purposes, using various methods and possibly pretending to help a person in solving certain problems. They hypnotize him and gradually extract all the information that the elite needs, or implant certain false memories or commands into the person's subconscious that the person will have to do. Because a person in a hypnotized state loses the ability to resist the information coming into his brain and to distinguish truth from lies, and therefore obeys everything he is told. Certain hypnosis tactics can also be cleverly hidden in various visual and audio sources that people often encounter in their lives, especially in the entertainment sphere, in various films, songs, etc. For example, special combinations of visual and audio effects can be used to induce the brain into a trance state, and then, through certain events or narratives shown in the film's plot, attempts could be made to implant certain information into the viewer's brain, according to the instructions of the elite. Therefore, one should try to avoid such a state until it is completely clear that it is caused by positive intentions. And when the sensations that lead to a trance state are felt, or the specific methods used to induce hypnosis are recognized, it is advisable to turn off the film or divert one's attention elsewhere until the effect passes, or those particular scenes which are causing the sensation end. Similarly, using these or other methods of collecting and analyzing personal information about people, for example, through mobile phone messages or calls, possibly by pretending to be another person who collects information for beneficial purposes to that person, and based on how they react to various environmental stimuli. It is possible to artificially create certain circumstances and events in the environments surrounding those people which, together with the false information presented to them, choosing such method of presentation that ensures that the person will definitely encounter it, would naturally create suitable conditions for the formation of certain opinions and attitudes that are beneficial to the elite toward certain issues, as a result of which people would naturally feel inclined to carry out activities favorable to the elite. And if these people have children of their own, then during their upbringing, parents can also try to shape the same opinions and attitudes in them, at least until they finally realize the fallacy of those attitudes and inform their children about it, or until the children themselves realize that these attitudes are based on false information and, having discovered the real truth, try to change both their own and their parents' attitudes, which were based on the same information. Another form of emotional manipulation could be the dissemination of false information through the internet or other media outlets. In such cases, people misunderstand the events taking place around them and therefore react to them inappropriately. For example, something that is actually harmful to them is presented as beneficial by information sources, and as a result, people begin to use it en masse, or vice versa. False information is presented that describes beneficial events as harmful, thus forcing people to fight against them. The elite could also conceal the useful information from people by destroying books, videos, and other media where such information was recorded, leaving only a few copies which are intended for the elite, that would be stored in special hidden places accessible only to certain representatives of the elite. So, in conclusion, the main goal of all these manipulations is to prevent ordinary members of society from finding ways and gaining enough power to free themselves from the influence of the elite. Because in that case, the elite would no longer be able to control and rule over those people, and would become their equals in terms of living conditions. As a result, members of the elite would no longer be able to enjoy their previous privileges, which were based on the exploitation of ordinary people to satisfy their needs and create easier living conditions for themselves, and would have to use their own physical and mental efforts to create their own well-being without harming others. Therefore, people must try to recognize the manipulations being carried out against them and find ways to resist them, for example, after completing various tasks and chores, instead of devoting all of their free time to entertainment activities designed to satisfy emotional needs. They should try to devote as much time as possible to analyze their environment and to understand the events taking place around them correctly. This would create more favorable conditions for people to fulfill their life missions and achieve complete happiness.